the amount of carbohydrates within within a piece of fruit is nowhere near the amount, well, not nowhere near, but depending on what fruit you're talking about, has nowhere near the amount of carbohydrates comparatively to something like honey or what we've got planned is a handstand and mobility session at the studio, in which I normally do my training. It's not that that's my only type of training, but it seems to be just landing on the day in which I choose to film. Then that's going to be followed by a mastermind call, I think it's called, with the institute I'm part of, in which this is going to be the actual first time I'm going to bring up some clientele info, which I'm excited about, but also anxious. Just like talking in front of people and they're all listening to me speak as well. But hey, it's all part of the learning process. So yeah, and based on the information that they've been talking about previously on these calls, super intrigued to see what insights I learn and some key actionable steps I can take from this call. So yes, that'll be that. Then that will be followed by some jiu-jitsu. I may or may not get some footage of that, but nonetheless, that's the plan for today's video. And then whether or not I finish off the video with something, not entirely sure yet. But I will catch you in the next clip. So there will definitely be at least another clip where I'm talking to the camera. Yep. Now that I've finished my tester, I quickly want to interrupt this video with a quick insight into pre-workout nutrition. So I'm not sure if you've been told before, but fueling yourself adequately can be an important tool for increasing performance prior to training. When we're looking at the hierarchy, it falls under the tier of nutritional timing. This may refer to the ingestion of particular foods to obtain certain or particular nutrients at particular times to get a particular outcome. Manipulation of the timing of certain nutrients is mostly used to improve performance or improve recovery, which in turn can help facilitate better recovery. One key macronutrient is carbohydrates, as they are the predominant fuel source when we're performing high intensity exercise. One key macronutrient are carbohydrates, as they can be predominantly used in situations in which where there is high intensity exercise involved. It's because carbohydrates can be utilized in situations in which where there's a lot of oxygen available, or when I'm doing low intensity exercise, or in situations in which where there is not a lot of oxygen available, such as doing high intensity exercise, say jiu-jitsu sparring. For instance, if I was to get up and walk out of this chair, or start going for a brisk walk, even say doing some technique drilling in jiu-jitsu, my exercise could be completely fueled by breaking down fats. As I begin to walk faster, or say positional spar, the requirement of energy increases and my muscles have... As I begin to walk faster, or say do some positional sparring, the requirement of energy increases and my muscles have to produce more energy to match such requirements, which could be facilitated by both fats and carbohydrates. As the exercise intensity increases, say to a fast-paced run or full rounds of sparring, the demands can get to the point where carbohydrates are generating close to 100% of the required energy. This is a handy feature of our muscles, as it allows us to perform high intensity exercise and utilize those fuel sources when needed. Intensity could also do with some contextualization, as the ingestion of pre-carbohydrates doesn't seem to have any meaningful effect for one-off expressions of force, say doing a 1 RM bench press. Furthermore, as fuel sources may change day to day, your carbohydrate intake could or should be a reflection of that also. Provided you're not in a situation in which where you've got a huge energy deficit, or you're intentionally reducing your carbohydrate intake, it's very unlikely that your carbohydrates will actually reach a critical level. What are some grappling takeaways and applications from this? If you're performing exercise with maximal expressions of strength, it's very unlikely that pre-carbohydrates will have a meaningful impact. This is unless it is performed after an overnight fast, as it appears that feelings of hunger or some satiety-mediated effects may have an influence on expressions of strength, as well as potentially influence overall performance. If you were to perform a training session in which that has a bit more volume, or let's say do positional sparring in jiu-jitsu or full rounds of sparring, pre-training meals may become more relevant. Essentially, unless you're in a severe energy deficit, eliminating carbohydrates for a particular reason, avoiding carbohydrates at certain meals, or training after an overnight fast, it's unlikely that your carbohydrates will reach a level in which where it's going to impede performance. Perhaps individuals who are seeking body composition changes, say weight loss, and may be eliminating carbohydrates from particular meals, may benefit from topping up their glycogen stores prior to training. Meaning that carbohydrates may not be the only factor as to why you cannot perform as well during training. That's just one variable to consider amongst a host of other things that may influence your performance. So what this all means is that just because you're not consuming carbohydrates, or if you think that carbohydrates are the reason in which that you're not performing as well as you could, it's likely that there's a combination of factors that are influencing whether or not you perform well, such as feeling hungry. For reference, and you can pause the video here, this can be a handy table to use throughout particular periods of your training. Periods of weight maintenance or weight gain usually are reflective of an increased carbohydrate budget compared to times of weight loss. Lastly, eat your protein and enjoy the process. I hope this was helpful. Again, to 20 subscribers now. If there's anything else you'd like to see, please let me know. And I'll catch you in the next one.